So the first item on the agenda, it is the beginning of a new year. It makes sense just to go through the protocol of electing our officers for the year. So in order, I would like to hear a motion for
I nominate Craig for chair.
I second that.
I'm in favor.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Unanimous. It's funny, so I was going to nominate Dan to serve as our vice chair. He's not here right now, but I did talk to him about it. So, maybe we can just do it in his absence. And the primary reason, and I said this to him over the phone, was to me, this is an apolitical committee, in so much as I don't always know the political party of the folks that sit around this table, but to others that might care, I thought it was appropriate to put forth a bipartisan front, and therefore appropriate to have Dan to work with me as vice chair, given his status and stature in the town. So I'm gonna move that Dan be the vice chair.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Congratulations, Dan.
There you are.
I would also like to move that. By the way, Cliff is now a regular member. That's official. Been appointed by the selectmen, and therefore he will also get a title. I'd like to nominate Cliff to be our secretary for the year, as he's already agreed to be our scribe. So,
I second him.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? All right. Item number 1 is done. We are official. Item 2 on the agenda is approving the minutes from December 2019. I had a couple of minor edits that I gave to Cliff in the minutes that got forwarded around. Any other comments on the minutes?
I couldn't print them out for some strange reason, but the only comment I had is I think the number of haulers that you referred to, I think there were 6 haulers in town that are permitted to pick up.
I thought it was 5, but
I think it's 5. Okay.
5 or 6.
Maybe we should just say 5 or 6. I thought it was 6.
You love accuracy.
Yeah, well,
well, we can find out after, too.
yeah.
But,
Yeah, that was the only comment I had.
okay, that's pretty much.
That's the only one.
Yep.
Okay. Any other comments on the minutes? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the January.
December.
December minutes.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All right, minutes are approved. That's item number 2, dispensed with.
Can I send the final minutes on?
Yes, you can. And, it's funny, I've still been including Donna in the invites to our meeting, but there's a new clerk, and I don't have her email address yet, or it wasn't on the website.
I can probably get it.
Yeah, maybe it's worth stopping down there and introducing yourself and
Okay.
telling her that you're going to be the one sending the minutes
Okay.
and get the right contact information. The other item, Cliff, if I could ask you to look into, and I don't know the answer to this, Jim Cameron pointed out that when he sends out the Channel 79 viewing guide, he likes to include, when available, a link to the agenda, which for a lot of town committees ends up on the town calendar on the website, but not for ours. I don't care too much, but if there's like some simple process that who puts it on the town calendar, like who should it be sent to, when should, so maybe Karen knows, maybe Linda knows.
I'll ask.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, item number 3 on our agenda, a section related to sustainable CT and our charge related to that. I'm imagining today's meeting is a little bit of just a reminder of what we talked about last time.
Craig, one thing, should we also approve the November minutes?
I thought we did.
Did we do that? I think they came around after our last meeting.
The November draft minutes were not ready, but were
Right.
promised by the following Sunday.
And then they were sent around,
And
Christine did send them around.
I forgot to look at them
Okay, so
and
we'll
bring
take this
mine.
time. Do you want to
Or-
take my copy?
Sure, I could do that. Maybe we could do this. This would be good.
I didn't see any major
Okay.
issues with them, just a couple of typos, but,
Those were Novembers?
yeah.
November 11th. November 11 doesn't sound right. November,
Was that
it
the
would have been
month where we-
13.
Is it the 13th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One month where we changed the dates.
Um, Okay, well, if you're good with these, I'm good with these. If you want to, should we approve them?
Yeah, it would have been the 13th, so we should just change the date on it.
Yeah, I got that.
You've got that? Yeah, I mean, there were just a couple little typos. Do you want me to give them to you, Cliff, and then, oh, but you don't have them in your computer, so.
I don't think I have the Word document.
Okay.
I might. I mean, was it actually sent around?
Yeah, she sent it
Well-
fairly soon after our last meeting.
Exciting meeting so far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is exactly like our meetings are.
We'll get to
The housing board.
something more
Yeah,
substantive
yeah,
in a
no,
minute.
this is-
We're in a transition. It's not
Yeah,
like
this is how
every-
ours are, yes.
Would it come from Christine?
Yes, came from Christine, and I'm not sure what the date was, but.
Here we go. Yep, I got 'em.
printed them out.
I will,
Are there any other corrections?
Oh, it was a
And
Google
just,
Doc.
like, instead of collect, it should be collection, but,
Forward,
just a typo.
include, Cliff.
That's the only one?
That's the only thing I saw, yeah.
All right, I forwarded them
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you.
you can have that.
I forwarded them to you, Cliff.
All right.
Came as a Google Doc, so.
Oh, brush.
yeah.
Oh,
And a PDF.
see, that's a PDF I can't manipulate.
But if you can get into the Google Doc, you can just copy and paste out of there.
Okay.
Should be able to. If you have an issue, just, I
Yeah.
guess, call Christine and
Okay.
let me know. Motion?
Oh, yeah, I make a motion to approve the November 13th minutes as,
Drafted and
yes,
amended.
as
Edited.
amended.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. On to item number 3 now. So I imagined this meeting was largely going to be a reminder and quick update on a lot of these items because it was the holidays. It's only been 4 weeks, so not a lot is likely to have happened. For the record, we have Jane Matthews here as an interested citizen, curious about the work of the Sustainability Committee and wondering if she can be of service. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Welcome to the table. So item A that we talked about last time was the website. Pam suggested she was going to take the lead on that. She's unavailable today and did not provide me an update. I don't know if you guys talked at all or no?
No,
Okay.
we have not.
So moving on from that one. 3B, improved communications with like organizations.
Mhm. We have the, excuse me, the next Green Team meeting is in February, so I was planning to, kind of.
Use that
put
as
it
kind of a
out, yeah.
kickoff, yeah.
Mhm.
Sounds good. Sustainable purchasing was under your purview.
Yeah, and I just started. I've been to try to get a sense of how purchasing works and who I need to talk to about existing policies. And I'm pursuing to start with, what we actually have and then see what we can do to
Yeah.
modify it and bring in
Yeah.
the sustainability piece.
So maybe that's a conversation with Kate is probably the best person to start with, Kate Bush, our town administrator. She might be able to give you some guidance. And then if there's anything, again, we talked about whether there's any evidence on the Sustainable CT website of other towns that actually
Right.
instituted it and what did they institute.
Right.
um, as helpful guides, in Connecticut versus the California version that you had looked up previously. Excellent. D, electrical vehicle and charging station. You were going to look at your research again and disseminate that. and keep Ed in the loop closely. I don't know if you've got any.
Yeah, I have not done
Yeah.
any follow-up with him, but
Yeah.
this is probably an appropriate time to at least mention to this group and anyone listening, there is a group, and this actually relates to Board of Ed as much. There is a group working, and I could not participate. Ugh, I just pulled it up. Well, I'll see what I can remember. The Sustainable Fairfield County group had their monthly conference call on Monday night, and one of the guests was someone that represents an electric bus manufacturer, and for school buses and transportation and things like that. And there is a small pamphlet that was handed out. The thing that I am trying to look for the name of the company just for reference here. The work, I'm not pulling it. I pulled it up yesterday. Here it is. It's called Motive Power Systems. And
Motive with an M.
MOTIV. It was a 7-page PDF, and they were a guest speaker. Like I said, I have the minutes. I have their 7-page presentation. And there's no one from Darien, in my knowledge, that's involved in just educating themselves about that. If there's someone in the school system that's doing it, I'm not aware. But I think it relates back to electric vehicles and electric charging stations, because the conversation goes into what other companies, other states are doing, or
Yeah.
other cities are doing, the engineering, what it saves on brakes, what it does on this. So
Yeah.
I think the broader conversation of electric vehicles in this is probably helpful. So I'm happy to share this presentation or
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
minutes with anyone that,
And that-
I'm
I would
not
love
even
to-
sure where to go with
Please
this
forward them
information.
to me.
Okay.
It will play into E, which is at some point, we're going to start our conversations with the Board of Ed. I'm trying to put together my thoughts on
Mhm.
if we're going to talk to them, what are our top 3 things that we
Yeah.
want to talk to them about, or, and so I'm trying to kind of put that together. Certainly electrification of the bus fleet, obviously they subcontract those services out,
Oh,
but
excuse me. I'm sorry. Yes.
still worthy
and
of discussion.
So it is an ongoing discussion, and some of the information just triggers my mind when it says, when you switch, you save on oil changes, you save on
No,
brake
the-
wear,
the
you blah, blah, blah,
promise-
blah, blah, blah. What's the
It
education
is a
process?
great target.
Yes,
in
it's
that
a
they-
long-term target.
But it's a great target in that they drive, 90% of the fleet drives a set number of miles every day. And they all return to one point.
Correct.
And they could be plugged in and have the infrastructure there. And theoretically, the electricity costs less than the gas that would be necessary to power them. And theoretically, the maintenance is less because you don't have all of the fluids that you would have that are trying to manage these, 60
They're-
explosions a second.
They're saying
in an
transmission,
engine.
oil, exhaust,
Yeah.
those emissions, those kinds of
Filters
things. So-
and catalytic converters and, blah, 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 blah.
So I look at this as just an education process of what is it and
Yeah.
why and who's thinking of it. And clearly when it comes to the school department, this is something that if other communities are working on around us that
Yeah.
may or may not use the same
And this-
companies for transportation, we would just want to be educated on this
Yes.
matter at this
Yes.
point in time.
Yes, and, and the manufacturing base is simply not there yet to provide these en masse at this
Correct.
point, right? So there's a whole bunch of things that are happening at once,
Correct.
but if everybody kind of targets a future, it could be very helpful.
Okay, I will
Um,
forward
yeah, please
these
do.
documents to our committee, and then we'll, just
Keep
keep
on-
that,
keep
keep a
on
file
plugging.
on this as this
Um,
group is evolving.
So I mentioned on E that I'm starting to put some thoughts together on what our conversation should be with the Board of Ed,
Mhm.
and what would be our things top on our list. I did reach out to Tim Sadler of NCON to have him produce 3 rooftop solar pamphlets for a second system here at Town Hall, and also include 2 Board of Ed buildings that I believe either have a new roof right now or are getting a new roof this year, and that would, I think Holmes was
Yeah, Holmes is
just
getting a new
done,
roof.
or is soon to be done, and Henley is also in the budget for a portion of the
I think
building.
it's being done this summer, Holmes,
Yes,
yeah.
So those are the 3 buildings that I have asked Tim to help. He's agreed to help, and then that'll be part of the conversation.
This is Tim who?
Tim Sadler is a representative with NCON, who's been our contact on designing the solar roofs that we do have.
May I go back to this conversation on the
Yeah.
electric school buses?
Oh,
I
please do.
opened. I hadn't read down through the second page of the minutes, but there is in planning an electric school bus event that will be held at the Discovery Museum in Bridgeport, and the date is pending based on availability of Connecticut Deep Grant Manager, but aiming for next couple of months.
Okay.
So and the objective is to educate key decision makers and bus contractors and operators how to acquire them. Their focus being on the financial aspects of purchasing and grant writing and things of that nature. So I will forward what I have, and it would be something that would be it could be part of conversation with.
We should, I'd be curious to see what Captain Anderson thinks about a police vehicle, because I've seen a few departments around the country experiment with one or two cruisers. And, I happened to see a video where, like, the guy being pulled over was so excited to see the electric car, he got asking questions and checking that. But
Thank you for the ticket.
Anyway.
Okay, so that's part of what's happening.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to jump down now to 3F, which was Beth. So this is actually, I guess, going to need a new champion. Beth has decided to step down from the committee, unfortunately. She just said, timing-wise, the meetings are not working well with her work schedule, and so she was going to miss the first few. And I said, well, when you are available, you're welcome, but we're going to need someone to focus on how we're going to get our sustainable CT grant. So I'll put that out there, and you guys can start mulling it over. The first effort is to think about things that we might actually want to get a grant for, discuss them with the group and with the administration, and then pick one and actually write the grant and submit it. And my recollection is it's up to a $25,000 grant for up to a $50,000 project.
Oh, this is the community share?
Yeah, the community share grant. And requires other people to donate money to the application. Moving on past 3F, let's go down to 3G, budget.
So I just, I wrote a few things down. I started thinking about it. I didn't get any feedback from any other committee members, but I thought talking about it, something might, kind of.
Help the conversation.
Yeah. So I sort of divided it into like two parts, like sort of like the capital budget and the operating budget, like some things where we might have to spend some money to get something done that's a one-time thing, and then other things that tend to be more ongoing. So just to throw it out there, I mean, one of the things that I know that you've heard this from residents as well is many people have expressed an interest in wanting a hose and a drain at the food scrap drop-off. And I don't know how much that would cost, but I thought I would at least put it on here so that we could,
talk about it, get a
yeah,
price.
I mean,
see if it made sense. Yep.
to see if it makes sense, or even, I think you had even mentioned at one point just even connecting a hose from another spigot and, having a long hose just to drag over there. I mean, I've given people a lot of information about how to sort of, bin hygiene, how to make their bins a little bit better so that when they empty them, they're not quite as yucky. And some people have said that helps a lot, but a lot of people still would like to have a hose there to rinse their bins out. The other thing, just again, another sort of, a wish list. I still would like to see us purchase our own green organic toters like the ones that Scarsdale has. We have curbside compost 32-gallon toters right now, and I've noticed that there's sort of like a hodgepodge of colors now. They initially were just like the brown and with the black top, And I've noticed recently there's like tan and there's a dark green one. And I just feel like, yes, they definitely work, but I think in a perfect world, if we really wanted to promote our program and attract attention and make people want to, it would be nice to have the kind of toters that Scarsdale has. And so.
Are they larger?
Well, theirs are larger. They do come in both sizes. We could purchase the same size that curbside compost gives us, but Scarsdale uses the 64-gallon toters, and they're about $114 a piece.
And we don't know if curbside is equipped to pick up the larger ones?
They are, so what I was told is that their truck does have the capability of lifting and emptying the larger toters. The issue would be if there is an issue with their machinery, because then the 64-gallon toters would simply be too large to pick up and
For a human to do?
Yeah, so that would be the issue.
So they like the 32s because if the pick isn't working, they can do it themselves.
Yeah.
But the 64s seem to have more utility for the site,
Right. I think.
although it's functioning right now.
Especially as, our program grows. I mean, another thing that we might want to consider is, so it's further down on the agenda, but
Yes,
Ed had asked.
we can go there.
Yeah, Ed had asked, you had asked, Ed and I are supposed to, and Christine are supposed to meet to discuss piloting a project with a hauler or multiple haulers. And Ed had asked to wait until the budget, season calmed down a little bit, which would be right about now, fairly soon. And if we do end up going in that direction where we are getting material that haulers are picking up, these bins are not going to work. Even the 64-gallon.
Yeah, I was thinking,
we would need.
why not have a dumpster?
Exactly.
Or a roll-off?
Right.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
That the haulers could utilize.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so therefore, it's just they're sort of on my wish list. We would probably always need a few of them for residents who bring their own material, but.
But then we could have the guys basically dumping the 32 gallons into the dumpster or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so they're just on my wish list, but I think we need to kind of proceed with how the program, we need to kind of flush out how the program is going to grow.
Evolve, yeah.
Before we make a decision on how many we would want to order.
Yeah, okay.
So at the moment, they're provided by the company that
Yeah.
takes the stuff away, right?
Yeah.
So if we provide our own, will they give us some kind of a financial benefit?
No.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of cost in the transportation and labor and
Right.
disposal and.
Yeah, but they own these things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we're using them. It must have a cost to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're responsible, they're a liability as well, because if we lose one or damage one, we own it. So,
And what's the cost of that? Same as what you're
Probably,
talking about?
I don't know what he would charge us.
I think in bulk, something like that might cost, $75 plus or minus $25.
Right,
A little less than maybe what we'd be looking at.
right.
So, and you were looking at budget in terms of items for things for the programs, when you talk about a hose or bins or
yeah.
things of that nature. I hadn't responded to you, but in my head, when you're driving around thinking of things, I was thinking more in terms of, would we want to have a fund to be able to, in the spirit of sustainable Fairfield County, be able to host an event of some sort. The ones that are being noted right now at the meeting as part of the minutes are the electric vehicle showcase in September in Fairfield, and there's a zero waste event in Wilton. So each community kind of hosts an event, and that's what this group was really formed, to support each other and sharing information and getting citizens to leave their town and go somewhere else on topics that were of importance.
Yeah, we ended
So
up-
I'm
we
really
co-hosted
wondering
with the library twice, we had two.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
we've used the library
event.
or whatever
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
things.
And it was a fun event, both of
Yeah.
them were.
I think Sally said they're planning, there wasn't one this year or last year, so I think she said they were planning one this year.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm thinking more in that terms of
You
education.
mean something for beyond this community that would.
Well, I mean, starting off, you're not necessarily building something that's going to attract all the communities around, but in this, I was saying, in the spirit of sustainable Fairfield County, the types of events that the groups are putting on in their own communities. I'm just wondering if there's something that our town and our committee, whether it's about food scrap recycling, whether it's an author, whether it's, I'm not, an
Yeah, so
educational
what's
program for
the
our
other
community, a
questions are
watershed.
what are
thing,
the
or-
expenses, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
I think Ed usually carries like, I think it's $1,500 for us for, miscellaneous printing or something, miscellaneous stuff. Everyone, we asked for a sign, we asked
Sure,
for some
we needed a
printing.
banner to take to
Yeah,
the
we need a
dump.
banner,
Right.
and he's been able to pay. So he might also already have $1,500, and we should ask him that he's included that in his budget again this year.
Yeah, that was in sort of the operating piece of my
Okay.
budget.
Yeah,
was
so why don't you finish with that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was just like some of the like one-time kind of things. I had also included like if we do sort of develop a cadre of volunteers who can, or helpers at the recycling center, we need like yellow vests for them to
Yeah, yeah,
wear. So we would
yeah.
need to purchase, like.
Yeah, I would love to have like a yellow vest or a yellow T-shirt.
Yeah, like
and it
four
says,
of something.
I don't know what it would say on it, but.
Can I help you? Or
Yeah. I would love to have like, yeah.
Stop doing it, idiot.
No, back.
No, we gotta be positive. So then under the operating budget, I had included things like.
We'll have one green side and one red side, and we'll be two of us, or whatever. We'll just.
Okay. So like postcards to hand out to people about the food scrap program, also to distribute to organizations like, Connecticut New Neighbors. By the way, I did email them early in December to ask if they have like a package of material that's given to new residents, and could we include something in it? I never heard back from them, so I did. They also have a Facebook page, so I sent them a private message on Facebook just asking,
How to
is
contact them,
yeah, is there a better email to reach? And I still I haven't heard back from them. So another thing
I would love to do. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
To get the latest recycling list out to everybody again.
Yeah.
Because we had the snafu where the first portion of permits that were picked up this
Yeah,
year
right.
were with a bad list, an OBS list.
Yeah.
And, for the percentage of people that aren't even picking up a permit because they figure, I have a hauler and I just
Right.
give that, to have it. So I'd love to be able to do something like we did last time, a newspaper insert or direct mail, to just say,
Yeah.
here is the official list, please use it.
Right.
There's a packet of things that newcomers gives when you arrive. It
That
includes-
must be them. Connecticut. They're called Connecticut New Neighbors.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe we changed the name.
It used to be
In-
like the welcome
in-
wagon.
No, I think are you talking about the YWCA program?
I think the Y organizes it, yeah, newcomers.
newcomers.
Oh, the
Club.
newcomers. Yeah. Uh-huh.
There's ones that are
They gave us-
nonprofit, and there's ones that are for-profit that you actually pay not very big, but people run these as businesses where they collect little gifts and things from area businesses to give in a basket to someone when they see
Is
a
that the Connecticut
residential.
New Neighbors?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I could ask, because we do that in a couple of towns.
Newcomers, I did meet with the executive director of that program, and they don't distribute physical material to people, but she said that she would include our document like in their newsletters and news of it, and that's on me. I haven't gotten that to her yet, so.
I love the idea of postcards. I love the idea of, mailer. Love the idea of shirts. What else you got?
Yeah, so again, I think in our operating budget, we should have some money set aside for a shredding event, and I've been doing some research on companies, because I think the company needs to be able to also accept material that's been home shredded, because a lot of people are very sensitive about that, and they don't all take it.
I
Even
wonder
though
if
they
we could,
they shred it in front of you, but. some
I wonder
people
if
are
we
sensitive.
could put that in, use that as an enticement for running a sustainability event, right? You know, like, because you can put the word out that if you need stuff shredded, you can come here and get it shredded on this day, and also there's this sustainability event going on.
Yeah, you'd be it's an education process of,
Yeah.
you know, I've recently seen people put shredded paper
In the
our
recycling,
recycling.
Yeah, and they're not supposed to.
And they're not supposed to. So there's an education piece as well as a service to your citizens piece, I think. That
But
you
it's
would
also
have.
anything that you, for an
And
event that you'd want,
that
like,
you
oh,
would
I'll
ask
go down to
somebody
that.
to
you
come,
know?
and then you would have your
Yeah.
food. Then you would have your
Yeah.
food scrap bins to
Yeah.
sell, or
Yeah.
other things
Yeah.
available at the same time.
And a new list.
And a
new
list,
and a
right.
list, yeah.
I was hoping that the shredding event would be sort of self-funding though, in a
Yeah.
sense, because most towns don't do it for free.
So you could also run it right at the transfer station, this day only, bring $10 and shred. or
Yeah, I
whatever it is,
mean,
you know.
different towns do it different ways, like
Yeah.
Westport charges $5 a car, Greenwich charges $2 a box. So I mean, it's a nominal fee,
Yeah.
but, you know, that way it's kind of self-funding and the
Yeah.
town doesn't have to pay.
But we have to
for
put
it.
up, put up money.
Yes.
And then potentially cover any gap.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So-
I think a way to, a really good hook on that would be somewhere around the 1st of May after taxes are done.
Oh, I was thinking around Earth Day, but that's same
But
time, yeah.
point being with shredding and people having their papers up, and it is
Yeah.
Earth Day, so Earth Day, tax day, you know,
Yeah.
like if you've gone through your paperwork, if, you know, gone through your
Oh, that's
files or
great.
whatever, now's a good time for things that you want to get rid of.
Yeah.
You know, some people that want to go back and throw away their old taxes they
That
don't have to
would be
keep
a good way
anymore.
to market it,
You know,
yeah,
to kind of
definitely.
to make that part of your theme.
Right.
And it's not
I
snowy.
like
You could be outdoors
Yeah.
and things of that nature.
Yeah, no, I like that. Another thing that I think we need to have in our operating budget is the the purchase of, you know, every year like 40 cubic yards of compost. Because there have been multiple people who have asked me about that this year.
When are you getting the compost?
Yeah, and I tell them that I believe that we're gonna be doing it again, and they, you know, I've had.
How much did that cost us last year?
About $750 for 40 cubic yards. Or,
Was-
no, it was
do we need-
20 or 20?
I think it was 20.
I think it was 20, yeah.
40's a lot.
Yeah.
20 was a lot.
20 was a lot. It was So it was about roughly $700.
Yeah.
So I think we need to have that in our budget. And then the other thing is, this comes up periodically. I get emails about like various conferences and things that I think might be fun and good for us to attend. For example, this is just an example, not that I want to go to it, but the Connecticut Recyclers Coalition has one on January 30th in Hartford. It's basically everything about recycling, the good, the bad, and.
So
you know,
attending
the
events sometimes come with $30 or $50 attendance fees. that
Yeah,
kind of
this
thing.
one, if you're not a member, and Darien is not a member of the Connecticut Recyclers Coalition, and that may be an issue
Another-
that we want to bring up with Jamie.
Yeah.
It's tiered payments depending on whether you're a member or a non-member. But it would, I think, it's fair to ask, to put a couple $100 toward that, because it's more fun if like two people can go together
Mhm.
as opposed to one person.
And how much is that
Those-
particular conference
Well,
for a
this-
non-member?
For a non-member, it's 125.
Oh, yeah, that's
For a
nothing.
member, I believe it was 75,
Okay.
or it could have been 50.
Now, but I do think that, again, these are all great ideas, and we should write them all down, and Ed might have a spot in his budget already for conference, that he would be comfortable writing that check out of, or saying, okay, well, maybe we'll add a little more money in there.
Right. And then the last thing that I had was just, again, related to the food scrap program. We have a number of residents who are participating in the program who did not purchase a food scrap kit. So they don't have the constant reminder that's on the sticker that's on both of the kits. So
Oh,
I
so you
was
want to just
thinking-
hand out stickers to folks that might not have that bin?
Or like magnets that they can put
Yeah.
on the refrigerator, because they're
Yeah.
very inexpensive if you get them in bulk from a place
Yeah.
like Vistaprint, and we
Yeah,
would
so
just.
getting 100 magnets
Yeah,
that
we
have the
would do
list,
exactly the
whatever.
same verbiage that we have
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the sticker, and then
Yeah.
people could just stick it on their fridge and it's like right there, because I feel like if, it's one thing to say, oh, it's on the town website, but,
You're in your kitchen,
Right.
you want the reminder.
Right, So that's what I have.
Although
in
it is
my
pretty, I mean,
preliminary
once
budget.
you are used to it, it's
It's
like
so easy.
anything that grows.
Right,
Can
right.
go in there, anything that grows can go in
Right.
there, you know?
Right.
Animal or plant.
Yeah.
Two, this is like long-term question, but it's easy in anything that grows. I just read an article that the city of Burlington, Vermont is requiring food scrap recycling and for residential people beginning this summer. They
I think it's
put
the
it
whole
into
state,
commercial.
actually. Or maybe that got delayed.
I was reading Burlington Free Press about the city of Burlington,
Okay.
and I have a person who lives there who pays to recycle food scrap who won't have to do it because it will be required
Mhm.
as part of your trash
Management,
taking it out.
yeah.
And anyway, so
And they have pay as you throw in Vermont too.
the question is where in our state is that move towards
I have no idea.
pulling it out, you know,
That's a
and,
very
and,
good question.
and that in terms of having that conversation, I
Well, I think
would
that-
love to be
Yeah.
part of.
I mean, all of this starts, I think that what we've seen that's been effective is as these things have started on the grassroots level
Yeah.
and prove themselves,
Yes.
they then are very easy to switch over, or not very easy, that's a bad term, more likely to get
Yeah.
picked up at the state level.
As a
Right.
broader concept.
So bags is an example. But, so I'm imagining through Carolyn bringing it to the state of Connecticut, starting here in Darien.
Yeah.
And then other towns picking up on it, other towns were doing it, but other
Yeah.
towns
Like Glastonbury.
helping accelerate other towns' interest, right? And then all of a sudden, if you've got 20 or 30 towns in the town already doing it, why shouldn't it be done at a larger level? When that article that we sent around on the overall magnitude of the waste problem in Connecticut.
That was why I was thinking that, the magnitude of the waste problem being what it is, that you just sent that article, this
Because it's
is
such a no-brainer.
low-hanging
You know,
fruit.
it's
So we shouldn't, I mean, I have no qualms about at the right time choosing the things that we should advocate for at the state level, and, you know, one of them is those bottles, which we'll
Yeah.
talk.
Yes.
So we need to keep that in mind with
It's a
these things.
success, I think
Yeah.
I'm saying it in terms of the success, our
Well, I
success
think-
story.
I think an important component of it is this hauler pilot,
Yes.
right? If we're able
Yes.
to figure that out with one or two haulers and that's successful,
Yes.
that's a really proof point that it can be done. No pressure.
Right. Yeah. Gotta work on it.
All right, so
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I heard on,
Where are you
so
with?
you can send those notes around to us.
Okay. And then we
um,
can just kind of keep it as a draft that we can keep
Yeah,
adding
and then we can
to.
talk to Ed and say, you know, here's what we're thinking, and how much money do you think really should be in your budget for us, for these things, and have that conversation.
The other thing a lot of people, a lot of residents comment on is that they feel there should be improved signage at the single stream. I mean, I think the sign is pretty clear. And I think that, you know, we've talked about how, like, sometimes too many signs people don't pay attention to. Someone had mentioned, a resident had mentioned.
Some signs are getting pretty beat up.
Yeah, they
And
are,
so
and
there's-
they've replaced a few, I've
Yeah.
noticed, like the metal and the large plastics. Someone had mentioned that it might be a good idea, a resident had mentioned that it might be a good idea to put up, like, even if you get like those like plastic laminated kind of things, like with like a no through, you know, a circle with,
Mhm.
like for styrofoam, for plastic film, for shredded paper, and just like, you know, have it there.
Yeah.
And maybe even change them out
Yeah,
periodically,
yeah.
so if we could get like foam board kind of signs
Yeah.
that.
They really need to be in that environment, you know, outside all the time. They really need to be pretty durable.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think the metal is, you know, it's not too expensive when you
Right.
actually get them.
Right.
It's just being selective with, you know, the information so that it's, you know, you've got that 2-second window between their car door and when they let go of the material
Well, and if
to
we
have an impact.
if we do get our volunteers with our little yellow vests on, you know, if we habit of thinking
Yeah.
and doing the right thing,
Yeah.
then, you know, long-term, that should
Yeah.
improve things.
It's almost like you need a form of protected whiteboard where you could write on it, but it's covered, and then you could change it out.
We need one of those
you know.
Stop and Shop robots to
Yeah, yeah.
hover over.
Right.
But just something that you could, something you could change the message. To your point of having a message,
Well, we-
you'd have a message, know this, but then 2 months from later it could be know something else, so it was
Yeah.
fresh,
So we
you know,
do
without
have-
having to replace all the time.
Dan did take, you know, an easel from the swap shop, and it's where our food scrap kits are in the town garage. But I don't know if it has a whiteboard on it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to protect it to his point of being in the
But
outside.
the
So
other
something
thing
like
is
you want to
even if-
replace the message and not spend a lot of money each time.
Even if it did have a whiteboard, the thing is it would, I'm not kidding, it would have to be bolted down.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it'd have to be
I
in
would
something.
imagine, you know, you kind of create a case, right? You have wood on the backside, plexiglass in the front. You can slide
That's
the
what I'm
poster
thinking.
board in.
Yeah.
And you're bolting it to the fence there.
Yes.
And then every once in a while, you go change the poster board.
That's a great idea. So that was my list.
Excellent, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Item 4 on the agenda is items related to recycling. Item A, my current, what do you call it, pet peeve?
Yeah.
Recycling of small propane canisters.
So Craig, did you happen to read the article, the Connecticut Mirror article that I sent you yesterday?
No.
Oh, okay, so it was like the one that Jim had sent us from
Yeah.
the Hartford Chronicle. They specifically mentioned that there had been damage to the Hartford facility from exploding
Propane tanks.
canisters. Mhm. So they do cause damage to the incinerators.
So, I found a couple of things which I forwarded around to y'all. One was this fantastic nonprofit called the Product Stewardship Institute, Sustainable Solutions to Protect Our Environment. And they've gone over, there's probably a couple of dozen different products on their website that they have researched over the years that would be priorities for stewardship laws. And I pulled up their white paper on small gas cylinder issues, which was here. And then, you know, I went and found the Paint Stewardship Public Act that the state of Connecticut passed 8 or 10 years ago, whenever they passed it, and rewrote it so that it could theoretically be used for refillable gas canisters. Now, my one concern is that, you know, paint, there's a lot of paint that's sold. And so a fee added to paint generates a substantial amount of money. And so therefore it can run a created program like this. And I think most people had previously recognized paint as something that you don't just throw out, right? And that it needs to be taken to household hazardous waste day or something like that. And so it was an easy change for people to take it to an appropriate location. So I think it was probably easier to onboard a paint stewardship program, for instance, than it might be to onboard a gas canister stewardship program, both from scope and education. But I don't know what, I mean, I don't know what the alternative is, right?
Yeah.
They need to be individually managed so that you can release the gas and cut them in half in order to recycle the steel. And that costs money. That's how it's supposed to be disposed of. And so.
Are you thinking that's a new option for us and to receive?
So we've talked about it for a couple of months, in that those small 1 pound green Coleman propane
Yes.
canisters that you
Yeah.
might use camping or with a small stove or with a small space heater. Technically, there is no way for you to dispose of that,
Or
because
recycle it.
it can't go in recycling because they don't want it at the sorting plant because it's a danger. It can't go in scrap metal because they don't want it at the recycler because it's a danger. It can't go in garbage, because if there's too much gas left in it and it blows up, it'll damage.
Wow.
And household hazardous waste, it's not a
And it's,
dairy
and you're not,
farm,
it's not acceptable. So
it's
there's
not
literally
acceptable.
nowhere you're allowed to get rid of that. Now, I imagine most people are throwing it out.
Yeah, they do.
But it's steel. It's
Right.
it's eminently recyclable.
Right. Well, and I'm
You
sure
know?
that like Wheelabrator would say, as they did when we toured them, that, after everything is burned.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
they
how
get that big metal
Yeah,
nougat at the bottom of the
Right,
furnace that
right.
they pull out, and it does get recycled.
yeah.
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 And city carding.
Yeah, because they
At
call
the
it a.
Wheelabrator incinerator.
Yeah.
I see.
They recover certain metals after the incineration, but why should it have to even go through the incineration
Yeah,
process?
yeah.
And this came up because a resident emailed us and asked how she could get rid of some of these canisters, and we don't have an answer currently.
And there were a lot of ideas floated here, but I mean, one of them that I remember that's just seems like things that have been done in the past is to put a big deposit on these things.
Yes.
So that you have
And that's
to bring them
basically
back.
what this does.
Yeah.
And then the store is responsible
Yes.
for getting them back to the people who sold them to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there was,
And then they just-
Yes, but so a deposit program, whether it's modeled after a deposit program or it's modeled after a stewardship program, it's a state level
There has to be an
action.
incentive, yeah.
Everybody's got to look into it. How is this going to work? They have to interface with the retailers. They're going to put money into writing a law. And
Well, you just did it for him,
I
Fred.
did. I really did. I
In-
did.
Did you, in what you looked into, is there any perspective from a company like REI or LL Bean, or I'm trying to, some of the
It's a great
people
idea.
that might,
Good job, yeah.
all,
More
already have.
responsible retailers that also sell them.
I mean,
Yeah.
there may be no stewardship program, but is there information on stewardship programs, or have
Yeah.
they been approached to do
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Would
My
there be
guess
a
is,
willingness, or?
like Coleman, who manufactures some of them, they would probably say, check with your local
Yeah.
recycling coordinator,
Yeah.
which is how a lot of these end up circling back.
Yeah.
I'm looking more from the point of view of if a retailer has been asked by their customers about
Do they
this,
have a
if
position?
Do they have a position?
Have they
done
looked- have
any
they done any research? Yeah.
Has
Look,
anybody
we've done-
thrown them a bill already that they would say, yes, I'd fight this or not? I'm just curious what
Yeah,
the
yeah.
retailer.
Yeah, well, because if
point
we
of view.
propose this, we want,
Back up.
we want the sitting cartings of Connecticut to be on our side, and the
Correct.
Wheelabrators of Connecticut to be on our side.
Correct.
And the scrap
And the
owners.
Rubinos of Connecticut to be on our side, and the towns, but the retailers also have to be,
you don't want them to fight you.
yeah, on our side, so.
I just
So you're
gotta
right.
believe that someone has thought about
Yeah,
this.
and
I
it would
know
be,
it's-
and if you went to a more environmentally conscious retailer, they might be willing to say, oh, we would totally support that
Yes.
program if it came along.
Or I can't because I've researched it and XYZ is
Yeah,
a
yeah,
problem.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I can't have the product on site, or this, that, or the other thing, whatever that might be. I'd just be interested to know if anybody's done any homework on
Yeah.
that.
So I think anyway, where we are is we have some good information.
Yeah.
We do want to, are you able to do the one pager, like kind of quick summary of? Yeah.
Yep.
So
I'm sorry I didn't do it.
that's
today.
that's added to Carolyn's lengthy
Yeah.
task list. To say, here's what we found out,
Yeah.
and here's what we think we ought to do about it, in a simple summary, so everybody getting this can read one page and no more.
Right.
Because that's asking a lot of everybody that might be involved in doing this, and then kind of taking that around, maybe trying to get the support for it from the folks we mentioned.
Yeah.
Maybe trying to initiate conversations with our state reps on
It
it.
would be nice if we could get a statement from Wheelabrator.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Wheelabrator, City Carding, Rubino Brothers, et cetera, yeah.
I have contacted LL Bean, I could ask up there.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Be interesting to throw out at one of these Sustainable Fairfield meetings if anyone has looked into this at all.
Yeah.
Because they get people
Yeah,
from
well,
6 or 8
maybe you
different
can,
towns.
since
So
you-
next
Yeah.
month's meeting
Put it
has
on
to
your
put it
list,
on
that's
the
great.
agenda or something.
Yeah,
I think next month is in person.
that would be great. Excellent, so that's 4A. 4B, we've talked a lot about, I think we've maybe covered everything, or?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to mention is, from what I understand, Stamford is about to launch a food scrap recycling program. It will be a drop-off program like we have, so people will have to bring their material. It will not be picked up. And then we did have a visitor. We had someone from Westport last Friday, and we were there for like maybe 20 minutes, and in that period, no less than 12 residents came by with their material, and I
20 minutes on a weekday.
yeah, on a Friday,
Yep.
and I told each one, I'm like, oh, this is Westport, they're thinking of doing it, and unequivocal, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Every one of them.
Unanimously.
Were like, yeah, they were like, yes, you should do it, Westport, it's great, we love it, so, so we had that, and then I'm meeting with someone from Weston next week. So
Fabulous.
we've done Greenwich, New Canaan.
I mean, it's really accelerating.
Yeah.
Yes.
To
So
to your point of
yeah.
then, keep
How
the
do you tell
momentum
that
behind
story?
it
Yeah,
and keep
we
it
need to
going.
get a whole chunk of towns doing it, and
Yeah.
then we can get.
Then it has some more power.
Will these companies be able to handle the growing?
So there is, I don't know anything about them other than that they are a kind of a typical hauling company, but there is a company in Fairfield that supposedly is sort of a competitor of curbside compost, but they're very, very local at this point.
There's two pieces. There's the one piece which is moving the material around,
Yeah.
which is ultimately scalable. There's
Yeah.
Right.
trucks
Trucks.
for everything. The other issue is the proper
Process.
either composting or digesting of it. So the plant that Curbside uses, I understand has capacity. I don't know how much capacity, but there have been people, if even maybe that company, interested in building more of those plants. And we had heard unverified that one had actually gotten approved somewhere in Bridgeport to be sited, but never really
There were
happened.
environmental issues
Yeah, with the site.
brownfields
Yeah.
or something.
So those anaerobic digesters are kind of known entities. They know how to build them. They're a fairly small footprint.
Yeah.
So that is also scalable. Obviously, it takes a little longer to get one of those approved and built,
And some
but
capital.
Yeah.
they're scalable. And they're selling gas at the end. A, they can charge a tip fee, right? And B, they're selling gas at the end. So they make money, right? That one in wherever it is,
Southington.
Southington, is a private enterprise.
Yep.
They charge a tip fee and they sell gas.
Quantum bio.
But it's scalable. And we also are potentially, the other 800-pound gorilla in the room is New York City.
Yeah.
And their efforts to go zero waste over time. And that will just create markets, create all of this infrastructure that's needed.
Has there been any talk about the food scrap for schools?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was at Oxbridge yesterday, and I met with Ruth, the principal, and two PTO co-chairs, and Katie said, oh, and I was talking about you and this high schooler that reached out to you about every drop counts, and I said, I'm excited to say that homeschool is going to actually put the survey on the wire for our parents
Oh.
to fill out, tied to the Every Drop Counts campaign.
Do you want to
that
do
we're-
this? Use the survey.
Yeah, the survey.
Meaning
The water
that's-
survey.
Well,
Oh.
I'm sorry.
You're talking about two things.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about two
Okay.
things. One is that she said, oh, I met with Carolyn Bain, and she said, we were talking about how we can go into the cafeterias and like get rid of the single-use trays and, maybe put, dishwashers. And I'm like, I know there's been talk about that. So kind of that element of it. And she's like, it would be wonderful to get like a task force of green team, like a representative from each school to kind of, meet.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I told them about this meeting. I'm like, anybody can come to this meeting to
Yes.
learn what's going on in the community.
Yes.
But
So where
they
that
said it's
falls
very
on, in terms
complicated.
of the structure that we've been talking about, is it is our intention soon to reach out to the Board of Ed, starting at the top,
3E.
at the administration level, and, 3E, and talk to them about sustainable issues in general,
Yeah.
including what we think would be great priorities for us to cooperate on, right? And so that is on.
And I'm sorry if I missed it.
No, it's okay.
No,
It's okay.
It wasn't clear.
We're starting at noon now, by the way. That's
I
changed
know, I
around
saw
here.
that too.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. I was sitting in my, I'm like doing a million
so-
things and I thought it was 12:30.
On the side, I've been kind of putting together my thoughts. I have a little Word document I've started in terms of how we might want to communicate, what we might want to communicate, and food scrapping in schools is on that list. And so, but I think we need both, right? We need to develop a dialogue at the level of the administrative, working down, but we also need to develop a dialogue from grassroots level saying, yeah, we'd love to have a passionate advocate in each school that'll be the champion, and we'd love to have, support from the parents and students, so you got to work it from both levels.
And I was just excited to say that
Oh, yeah.
homeschool is doing the survey, and I'm trying, and I basically put it out to all the principals, and I gave them the link to the survey.
Oh, great.
And I said, I hope that you will consider this and explained how this all came about, and we'd love to have more engagement, because if the parents are engaged and understand how much water they use at the home, it's gonna be a more fruitful campaign for the children because the parents are involved.
Mm-hmm.
So the survey specifically about every drop counts.
Yes.
Yes, the water conservation survey.
We basically created the same program that Nisha named her program, so it's kind of water conservation.
Right.
And I'm basically doing that in the schools.
Excellent.
So I was hoping that the survey would be a component that the principals would be on board with and share with the parents.
So that's it for food scraps.
May I ask you
Yeah.
one question just relative to food scraps? And that's the pumpkins?
Yeah.
That are still there. Are they deliberately there, or are they supposed to be taken away?
So,
I was wondering from a health point of view as they're
yeah.
staying.
The pumpkins. So, yeah, we asked people to just leave them in a pile next to the bins because they're heavy and they're round
Correct.
and they take up a lot of room in the bins. Curbside Compost had actually asked us to do that, to leave them in a pile on the ground. What our guys have been doing is, as the bins fill up, they close them and they move them to the back, and then they bring new bins out. They've been putting some pumpkins in to just top them off. So they've been trying to get the pumpkins recycled without creating a lot of additional bins to pay for. So that's why it's taking a little bit longer. But they're almost gone.
They're going into the food scraps.
Oh, yes, they are.
Slowly.
Okay.
Yeah.
When the truck comes, they can't just throw them all in the truck?
No, because he charges us per bin, and he would,
Oh.
yeah, he would absolutely, have the bins filled and emptied, but then we would be paying
Multiple.
too much because the pumpkins are round and they don't neatly fit, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's better to have them go in
Okay.
little
In
bits
pieces.
at a time.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Enough said.
All right, item 4C. Usually Dan gives us an update on the swap shop
Yeah.
if there's anything we should know about, but
Well, what has really impressed me, and what I see, I'm Jane Matthews, by the way, I'm sorry, I don't
I'm
know.
Laura Peschway. Nice to meet you.
Is that we at the swap shop get so many questions about canisters from Party City, these small canisters.
the helium.
The
Questions-
helium.
Yeah, questions about glass recycling. And I feel personally slightly ignorant on some of the recycling rules and regulations and all that. And I suspect that the rest of the staff feels the same way.
Yeah.
Because what I see, I've been volunteering there for about 2 years, is a lot of people just come to the swap shop and don't do the recycling because they have a hauler or whatever. So we get an awful lot of questions that I feel now like we are not answering correctly. We're not.
Wow, we
We're-
neglected the fact that we have a stable of educators right at the dump every day.
And I
So-
really feel like
So we need some good signage and
we
collateral
should
for the.
eliminate one of our
Yeah.
things and put it up, and then you can
Well, we
show
have,
us.
what I was thinking is we have, when you walk in the swap
give you
shop,
flyers and
there's
we
a
have
big,
lists.
it's a big table. And above that table is a big empty space that we occasionally stick a wreath or something up. But it's probably 6 feet by 4 feet. It's a big space. And personally, what I'd like to see is something that says, do you know that you can recycle your food waste? Because I'll bet you a lot of the people coming in just don't know it.
Yeah.
Did you, canisters, we can't take them, no.
One is to me, the
you know.
little graphic of the map of the transfer
Right,
station is
right.
really super helpful because it's like
Right.
food scraps, batteries,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. And we get people coming in all the time saying, I have 35 vases. Yesterday, we had a
Yeah.
woman literally come in with 8 boxes, big boxes like this, full of glass vases.
Yeah.
Downsizing her mother's house, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
We can't take 8 boxes of vases. They're just going to go into, we're just going to throw them out. We don't separate glass in the swap shop now. Maybe we should be. They're,
Yeah.
but
It can
that-
go in recycling. We have the single stream bins up at.
right,
Yeah, we can't go
right.
in single stream, yeah.
Yeah, they can or cannot.
They
I-
can. A glass vase can,
Okay.
yes. A Corningware or a tempered glass something can. cannot.
Couldn't, but we just kind of directed her, well, go up top, kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
With the vague
So
hope,
this is,
knowledge.
you were looking for something to help us with. I think we found something
Yes.
right off the bat.
So I think
which
that
is,
we,
I think I'll send you an email with some of the collateral we already have.
okay,
The map, the flyer,
Right,
the
right.
single
Food
stream
scrap.
list,
Right,
things,
right.
food scrap thing. So you'll have 4 or 5 or 6 documents,
Yeah,
right, that
yeah,
are
yeah.
the information.
Right.
And then you can tell us, well, I think this one should be poster sized.
Yeah.
And I think we should have 100 copies of that to sit there and,
Add this to your
Sure.
budget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all on our,
Yeah.
it's all on,
And we-
the town
we get in-
website.
we get in a lot
under
of
the
things
DPW
like,
Darien Recycling, but.
This season especially, the parents buy the kids these electric cars, right?
Oh, yeah.
My grandkids,
Yeah.
Can we get them in, nobody ever takes them, and we put them in the bin and they get
Yeah.
squished up.
So so that becomes a more difficult question, because the thing that makes something hard to recycle
It's when it's mixed, right?
is when it's mixed.
Yeah.
If it's not just plastic and it's not just metal, it's both, you can't, then who's gonna take it apart?
Right,
And
right,
no one.
Right, right.
So it's garbage.
Yeah.
But then that also brings into, there's a little electric motor in there, which has a little copper in it.
Right.
There's a battery in
Right,
there,
there's
which
lots
has
of-
some
yeah.
earth metals in it.
Yeah.
And, you'd want to throw it over in e-waste if that was the case, but, you don't want to put the entire shell of a car for this much
Yeah.
Yeah,
e-waste,
right.
right?
And we get things in like.
So because I know better, I've torn things apart before at home.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what I
And,
do.
and left this at e-waste and
Yeah.
thrown this in plastic,
Exactly
but.
what I do.
I come from a marketing and background before I retired. But before that, I worked in a library system, and statistics were everything. So I track in my brain or write down these little notes. And on an average week at the swap shop, we are getting in approximately 10 to 15 bicycles. We get in
Yeah.
these bikes. Most people don't want them out
Where do
the.
they go?
Well, you tell me.
Well, they go
So
in
scrap
metal.
metal, you're
They-
saying, basically?
No, I mean, they just go into the bins and get
Yeah.
squished up with the.
Well,
Garbage.
Okay.
A bicycle?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Oh.
metal. That should go in with
Yeah, so,
metal
yeah,
recycling.
bicycles should be with scrap metal at a base level.
And sometimes, I mean,
But
we don't
I have
always
even a
sort,
better
you
answer.
know.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to,
Yeah, no, it's
There
good.
are organizations.
So,
that will take
But-
these.
so I'll just say for me, at the Boy Scout tag sale each year, one of our most valuable products is bikes. We sell probably 150 bikes
Right.
Wow.
every year. And so if it was a bike in good condition, it's totally saleable at that tag
Yeah,
sale.
yeah.
Because we actually have volunteers that go through all the bikes and make sure the tires are blown up
Right,
and the chains are oiled, the
yeah,
gears are
we-
working.
I mean, I think
Um,
that's what we feel at the swap shop, is we get in things that we feel are valuable,
Right.
but.
They're not
But people, they're not moving, so
They're not- they're not moving
they're
for,
not
you know.
reusable to you because there's no one coming and getting them and
Right,
taking them.
right, and so then we're
Pitching them.
we're
So
pitching them.
That
And-
is, I will tell you that I love the swap shop, but my biggest anxiety
Yeah,
as
yeah.
a person in town and
Yeah.
someone who's on this
Yeah.
committee is I see the bucket loaders taking
Yeah.
things,
At
and
the end
they
of
are
each
not
day, yeah.
being separated,
Yeah.
so they are going
So this is
to the
fantastic.
trash. So this
So
is
this
a
is opportunity.
conversation
Yeah,
to
yeah.
figure out how to stop some of that.
And we now have an
Right.
ambassador.
It
And
may-
so we have the opportunity to educate all the volunteers at the swap shop. So
Absolutely.
they feel better answering questions and
Yep.
understand what to do themselves.
Yep.
We have the opportunity to have it be a point where information can be distributed and displayed. And then we have the ability to decide what are our other potential outlets, right? Is there someone that will come up each week and grab 20 bikes and
Right.
do something better with them? Can we take 2 boxes of vases back to a florist.
Right.
You know, can we,
Right.
Or,
you know,
or even just have a single stream recycling container
which I
at
think
the
you
swap
have.
shop.
Do you have a recycling container down there? If you don't, you should.
We
So
don't.
we'll-
No.
that's
No.
easy.
Yeah.
No.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we don't. Yeah.
Those things
Yeah.
that they can't use can go into single stream.
What would seem
this is
to me
fantastic.
is that if we had, say, a big bin, when we're at the end of the day, we're clearing out and throwing away stuff. If we had a bin,
At least a recycle bin, yeah.
Recycle
Big,
bin, thank
big
you.
tote, big,
Glass,
one of those
yeah.
big rolling
Glass
totes.
and metal,
yeah.
glass and metal.
Glass and metal. And then all the
Both.
volunteers knew when we got, 16 boxes of vases in, we could safely throw it in there. It was sealed up and
Yeah.
then appropriately,
Yeah.
the guys could come in and dump it. The same thing with, small plastic. We get in so much plastic toys. So literally 100 pounds a week, literally, of plastic toys.
Like Legos and things?
Yeah, Legos and the Barbie model house and
Yeah.
all that stuff, and it just gets thrown out. To me, again, if we could have a bin that said, and I'm not trying to point we're the bad guys, but we don't know, and we
It's
don't
capacity. It's education and capacity
Right.
right
Yeah.
now is what
Right.
I'm hearing.
Right.
You would
you
need,
say.
you would need a warehouse to.
I understand that, right? It's a great service,
Yeah.
but there are
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
maybe
no,
some few
no, and
little
I'm-
things,
I'm,
education, yeah.
But
You're not
look,
scaling up,
we-
but
There are, as was just suggested, organizations like Big Brothers and Goodwill
Yeah.
that'll come and collect these things.
Well, we have
that is an interesting
people that
question.
come in that are individuals who are shipping toys to
Yeah.
Haiti or whatever,
Yeah.
but we don't have a structure.
Right.
And we don't. The
It's
storage space is the
informal.
other problem too.
Yeah.
There are.
And Goodwill wouldn't be able to get into our.
Right.
Well, but I think that,
We could
to,
make
to,
arrangements.
yeah, to your point, because I've also been involved in the cleanup of the Boy Scout tag scale. And so
Yeah.
we're
That's
trying
sad.
within 6 days to appropriately dispense of everything that had been collected and didn't sell. And this year we did, the folks that were involved, Sabina Harris and her husband did a phenomenal job of trying to find homes for everything, make sure it was properly recycled.
That's great.
There's always,
Some stuff.
trucks full of garbage at the end of the
Right.
day, but they did a really good job of trying to find a home for most everything. But some of the challenges are, there are programs that will come around and pick up, but they only work on Friday afternoons.
Yeah.
They send the truck around with their volunteers or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that would work great at the swap shop when the furniture pickup is Friday at 2, whatever, and then you could say, well, let's put that under the tarp for the furniture pickup,
Right.
So there's room for improvement. A lot of room for improvement.
Yeah. I think there's lots of things that we could do. I feel like listening to this that we're not working in conjunction with you guys,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
obviously you're so dedicated to this,
Yeah.
and I feel like we're not.
Yeah, this is good.
And there's things I just don't know about. I live at the Heights up here in Darien, so
Yeah.
my trash, I have little recycling,
It
and
goes
that's all
out,
I do,
and-
and I don't think about it too
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
We have garbage disposal, it all goes down to the garbage disposal.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
So, the questions on glass and plastic toys and.
All right,
But
so,
Good, I'm
I was just gonna say, the helium tank, that
Yeah.
issue did come up, and that just, and if you said it's a question that's asked frequently, that can go in scrap metal, but residents need to just put like a nail hole in it first. It's not dangerous to do that, and then they can leave it in the scrap metal, because it's not pressurized, right, or it's
it's not
not,
as pressurized.
Yeah. So
And
they
once,
need-
once there's a nail hole in it.
it's not at all.
It's not at all.
Right, but it needs, that pressure needs to come out of it first, so they just need to put like a nail hole in it, and then they can bring it to the scrap metal.
I can tell you now, no disrespect intended, but, when these people come in with the tank from Party City and
They're not
it's-
gonna bring it back home.
they're not gonna bring it back home, and we're not gonna give them a hammer and a nail.
Yeah, no.
I can see some of these women,
If
in
that
their
happens,
pearls.
I'll run that.
A,
back.
they should not
Yeah.
be dropping it there,
Yeah.
right? That is.
Yeah. But,
Not an appropriate use of the swap shop.
yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I'll do one on a helium tank again. I've done it a
Yeah.
couple times. I usually do it like in the spring
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
graduation and.
a big sign, right as you come in, would really help us to say, helium tanks, no, because we have, the volunteers don't always know, and if you can just point to a sign that says no. Car seats, we get in
Yeah.
tremendous amount of car seats.
Can't reuse them
We can't,
by law.
yeah, we can't you know, we can't take them in. They go up top. Some people, you know, like, well, you know, my kid paid $400 for it. Well, there's nothing I can tell you, you know,
Yeah.
it goes to recycling, that kind of stuff. But I really feel like we're not working
All right,
with
let's
you
let's do
guys.
that.
Yeah,
Let's
you
work
know.
together, and we'll start out by a few emails, and I'll copy other people on it, and
Yeah, see if we can, you know, work a
maybe
little
we
bit
even run an
closer.
education session down there. We can coordinate a time when all the
Yeah.
volunteers are around.
Yeah,
We can go and
absolutely.
sit there and
Yeah.
talk about everything, and
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
you know, the
And
just,
hear
I
their
think just,
ideas for-
yeah, just the do's and don'ts and the issues we have with, you know, stuff coming in, we don't know what to say to people.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, glass vases or plastic toys, I'd love to be able to take all that plastic and put it in a big bin and know that it's gonna be recycled correctly.
mhm.
Yeah, some of it shouldn't be
Fantastic.
going in single stream, though. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember I have an email from, my contact at City Carding, and I know there's some of the very small plastic toys create issues at the sorting facility.
It
so
depends
they
on
don't want-
size, right?
It's
So
the size,
if-
yeah.
When
And-
things get really, really tiny, it's not going to get to the right place in the sorting plant, right? So basically, what we've been told is, you know, fist size is something that's
Yeah.
a sortable size.
Yeah, 3 inches even is like, that's why like
Small
foil.
fist.
Yeah, yeah.
Small fist.
Small fist. Yeah.
I've got to move a little bit.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm running behind. No update on item number 5. I think we've talked about enough on
Yeah.
item number 6. So really, it's, is there anything that wasn't on this agenda that you think ought to be on another agenda?
Just
Yes, Kathy?
very, very, very
Yes.
fast. First, once again, congratulations, Carol,
Oh,
on
thank you.
your
which-
sustainability
which one is
idle
it?
talk from this thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I still think we need to find a way to broaden the distribution of your information. It's fabulous. And this was in the Darien Neighbors for January.
January, okay.
Number 2, I don't think this is necessarily anything anybody would hear, but if anybody on TV, there is a conference on Friday, January 10th, at the Stanford Museum and Nature Center, which is for environmental educators. It's called Environmental Educators Day. It's a 9 to 3. There are different topics. It can be signed up. But there are part of the discussion is connecting sustainability to programs and lessons is part of the discussion. Again, this was passed out at the Sustainable Fairfield. And the last thing is Sustainable CT. Some of you may have seen this email, had recently sent out an email. They are hiring for their fellowship program for next summer. If there are any students in the town of Darien who would be interested in doing the work that was done last year, the hiring program is open for the fellowship program for college students that live in Connecticut or go to school in Connecticut. And the last thing is they are hiring equity coaches, if that would be anything of interest to anybody in this room to apply for.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Yep, I'll second that.
All those in favor? Thank you, Channel 79.